All right, Mike, can you tell us what kind of tools we need to install a school zone timer switch?
Well, one of the power tools that you're going to need, of course, is going to be a standard drill, cordless, with a step bit. Would probably be ideal for you. Otherwise, you can just get yourself a regular set of bits. It's perfect for the application, what we've got going on out here. Some other tools, of course, you can be your standard screwdrivers, both Phillips and flat, depending upon what you got inside the box. You're going to need a tube of RTV. This is to seal the hole that you're going to end up putting in the cabinet for the antenna. And that's just basically just to keep the water keep the water from getting in there. Additional tools I would recommend, of course, is going to be a good pair of wire strippers. Probably a nice bag or supply of zip ties. That's to dress up your cables afterward. Some wire, of course. We're going to need that for the application. And lastly, we're going to need some crimps, or spade lugs, I guess you could call them. Have a nice supply of butt splices and terminal lugs. And of course a tool to be able to crimp them down.
What are these that you're grabbing right now?
Some self-tapping screws, because not always will things just line up just right and be able to use the existing screw holes, so you're going to have to make your own holes and mount the beacon in there somehow.
This is unboxing the school beacon device and what's included in here. There are a couple of cables. There's the antenna. There is the RTC or LTEC Retrofit kit. And there's the normal wiring harness. We also have documentation in here that tells you exactly what to do for each of the different wires, which we're going to go through in a little bit more detail. And we have the unit itself, which is in this bubble wrap here. We're at an AC cabinet right now, and you'll see at this cabinet it's a lot smaller. So one of the things that we do need to look at is how we're going to mount our unit. So the first step is to take out the RTC unit and see the space requirements to see if our unit's going to fit in. Step number 0, turn off the power so that nothing can happen to you. This is an RTC AP21 time clock. So the first thing you're going to do is take off the lid, and then there are mounting screws inside of the unit that we're going to be unscrewing those mounting screws over there to get the unit off. So on these AC units, we're going to have to take off the wires over here, so you need to get a very small flathead screwdriver to unscrew these wires.
Okay, so what we're going to do next, of course, we've already yanked out the old unit. We're looking for the placement of this guy here, and then a couple of different orientations that you could go with. You put it in like this or like this. And what we've decided is that for this application here, we're going to go ahead and mount it on its end so you can actually see all the lights, your connections. But we're also going to have a choice of either using the mounting bracket or bending the ears on the device itself. If you use the mounting bracket, you could end up losing about a ½ inch worth of space. So to maximize, get this thing all the way back, we're going to bend the ears back and then mount this flush in the back of the cabinet.
And what we should first do is install all the wiring before we put this in, because we're going to have more space in the small cabinet.
Yes, sir. Even though I got some smaller hands, more room the better. All right, what we've done is we removed a lot of the extra wiring that was in here because the existing unit was wired into this terminal block down here. We need to use some of the terminals for our own connections, and the wires were just sitting in there, would be hanging out and possibly causing you a problem. So we've removed those, and now we're going to go ahead and start wiring in our wire harness onto this terminal block. Just to shorten up the time frame here a little bit, we went ahead and landed the wires, and I'll explain where we actually landed them. Our AC power comes in on the blue. We also tied the blue to the brown, which is part of our relay. This is the AC coming from the circuit breaker itself. Okay? As far as the return on the AC, that's going to be the white wire. So look for your incoming power landed on a certain terminal block. That's your return. Additionally, we also landed the chassis ground wire. Didn't have enough room on this screw here, so we went ahead and landed it to the next closest electrical point, which was on this surge arrestor, and it's right there. Okay, so what we've done is we've wired in our wire harness onto the terminal block to provide power. Now, to provide power to the flasher, that's the function of the AI unit, and that is going to come in off of, the power is going to come from the AI unit on this purple wire, which is shown on this diagram coming off of here, which is relay 1 normally open. This is the purple wire, which lands on the 204 flasher. That's your AC input. As far as the return, the neutral, coming back from the flasher is going to be the white wire that we saw down here at the bottom of this flasher base. And that comes back on here, and it ties into both the neutral points on our terminal block. So what we had to do to try and track down as far as where we needed to land our purple wire, went to look underneath the base of the flasher unit. And in this case here, it's going to be the front left one. Go underneath, we found the black wire that comes from that terminal, and followed and traced it out, and it landed on the first terminal block in this case here. All right, what I've done here is I've taken these tabs, and on the one that we're going to mount back on the back panel, I bent those up so I can use them as a mounting bracket. Okay, so what we've done is we've mounted our AI unit by bending those tabs that I showed earlier, and we have it mounted flush. We use some self-tapping screws to actually mount this as far in as possible. That way we're giving ourselves a little bit of clearance when it comes to bending these wires. We're not going to possibly break these connections. So once we've got the unit mounted, we plugged our harness that we already wired into the bottom of the unit, turn the breaker, or not the breaker, but the power switch on the bottom of the unit itself. We turn that on. We turn our circuit breaker on. Of course, that's our power is applied over by the other pole. And we've got our antenna up on top here just right now, just to make sure that we are communicating and everything's working fine. We're able to see that, of course, by our LEDs that are illuminated. Might be a little tough to see.
But you can see the heartbeat and the modem light are good.
Yes.
So now we've logged into the beacon that we've just installed. You can see information that it's currently online right now, and we can actually see that it's 0 minutes and 51 seconds since it connected. We can also see the lamp status is showing okay. That means that we've wired in everything correctly, and that when we turned on the lamps, everything is working correctly. If you scroll down a little bit on the screen, you're going to see where you can activate the beacon. Currently it's off. We just turned the beacon on previously, and the beacon did come on, and that's how we know that the lamp status is okay. The next thing we're going to look at is the information under more details for the cell signal strength. This is now going to open up the log of the data, and we're going to go look in. There's two options there: data log IO or data log device. Now we're going to scroll towards the right, and this is going to show us, if we go a little further, the signal cell strength, which is -89. On a 4G beacon, anything under -120 is good.
What we did is we drilled that hole, 9/16 hole, and placed the antenna on top with a bead of silicon RTV on top of it, and mounted and screwed the nut on the back side. brought our antenna wires in, dressed up the cabling, made it nice and neat. Now you may notice it looks like it's going to have a clearance issue here. As long as you're gentle with closing this, it's not going to be a problem.